course, we don't know it. We don't know much of it. I mean, most of those things we know, but this is all some sort of tinted through the party lens, as well as so there is no real, there's only those survivors who can talk about issues in this communistic world, and of course the rest is lost to imagination. And from there I decided to write a series. I mean, I talked about the streaming war, and because of the streaming war, that it became so important, and that it's good from there. It makes sense in a way to write about, or rather, not only to some sort of please any streaming businesses or whatever, because for a matter of fact, right now I don't even know whether it would ever be published, or whether it would ever be adapted to a movie. I mean, it's out there. However, it's on what pad you can read it, you can do what, and however, but I think if you write a series or some sort of extensive work, it can really allow you to tell a greater narration, a greater story. I mean, because if you watch a movie, this is 1.5 hours, and most of the movies are 1.5 hours. I mean, longer is not very advisable, because if you have movies which are longer, people will, especially if you are in the cinema, these things won't work properly, because if you have, let's say, a movie which lasts 2-3 hours, then it is most likely that at half time some of the people will leave for the restrooms and so on. So you want to keep those people engaged, you want to keep those people agitated and so on, thrilled and grabbed to their seats. However, whereas in the streaming business you can make longer movies, of course, because if you watch a movie on a streaming service, I mean, you can press the stop button, or you can do whatever you want. You're watching it at home. You are not forced and so on. I mean, of course, I mean, watching a movie in a cinema has advantages. This is true, but as well as it has disadvantages as well. I mean, one thing in a cinema is great is the sound. I do admit I was only a couple of times in a cinema. I just like to watch movies at home and alone. So I try to think about it and so on. But even though in this couple of times where I was in the cinema, I mean, it is understandable. I mean, the sound is great, the visual impact, and so you have a huge screen. This is indeed different, and this is something, of course, you have to pay attention to if you want to grab people's attention. This is with 3D and so on. But nowadays we have all big screen TVs, or people have big screen TVs. I don't watch, or I watch my everything on my mobile phone. However, but with this streaming business, things have changed. Things have become different, and of course, I think that the streaming business means something positive, because first of all, you can tell a greater story, because that TV shows is not confined to TV channels anymore. But one thing with the streaming business, what I want to say, which I think is very important, and because in some areas people are displeased with this streaming business, because they say that the streaming business harms the cinema. And so, yeah, this is true. But however, in the beginning, I mean, the Netflix partially changed now, but in the beginning, streaming businesses were actually not that bad. Not that bad in that sense, because it would some sort of give B or C listed actors and actresses the chance to play in a movie, the chance to play a role in a production, or as well as minorities, because if you only see what is happening in Hollywood, these are the main movies, or one of the or those most significant movies which we all agree, or which everyone agrees were defining for a decade, or defining for Hollywood. They are mainly played by the same actors and by the same actresses. So right now in Hollywood, you have only a few actors. Most of them are white, and they play pretty much in most of the movies. And of course, this has all economic reasons as well, because if you have in a movie a known actor, if you have in a movie people who have a good public persona and so on, then it is easier to some sort of promote the movie. So this means even though if the movie is not good, even though if the movie sucks, people will probably watch it because of the actor or the actress, because of the celebrity status this or that actor has. But of course, one thing becomes apparent as well. I mean, this is that always those good movies are played by the same actors and so on. And the streaming business thereafter gave you, in the beginning at least, gave you the opportunity that you see some new faces which wouldn't have been able to make it into a Hollywood movie. So I would not see and consider that the streaming business is bad for TV and so on. This is especially in Austria and in Germany, many thought about this. I think this is not true in that sense, that those people who want to protect themselves against new developments, these are mainly those people who profit from the old system. These are mainly those people who control the old world. I mean, it is true that Austria and Germany have no real film industry, however, but this is what I re-encountered with books as well. So if you want to publish a book, this is what I said once, and I will say this again. I mean, if you want to publish a book, this can, or if you want to publish a book via a publisher, this can become very arduous, and it is most likely that if you are that you will struggle. I mean, I struggled, and in the end, I had to publish all my books on Amazon.com as well as in Wattpad. I mean, of course, Wattpad is some sort of a question whether it is really self-published. But however, I consider all my stories on Wattpad as published, as self-published on this platform. So, and I said this once, and I will say this again, that thanks to Amazon self-publishing as well as to Wattpad, I am able to publish my books, my short stories, my screenplays, Lettuce, Invert and Lifesaver, and more are on the way. So I will continue. One screenplay I'm working at was Yamilias, and there are more to come. So definitely check it out on Wattpad. It is Adam keywords and you will immediately find it. However, these new technological developments allow you to be creative, allow you to put your material out there. So without Amazon, without Wattpad, I most certainly wouldn't have been able to publish my books. So this is something you need to say. So even though if you hate Amazon, even though you don't like it, don't take for one thing that Amazon, even though it destroys normal retailers, especially brick and mortar retailers, nevertheless, I mean, Amazon, if you order things on Amazon, especially food, this is what people don't know. If you can buy and order cheap food on Amazon. I did this in Austria. So this is not all that bad. And as an author, I can only say, oh, of course, some of these books you find on Kindle platforms for $2-3. Well, I don't see how anyone could live of an income from or live off a book or an ebook or whatever, which only costs $2 or $3. However, but you can choose it freely. And I think so no matter what people say, this was a great development. This enabled creativity. Without Amazon, without Wattpad, I wouldn't have been able to publish anything, because in Austria as well as in Germany, this is not likely, or it was very unlikely that people wanted to publish my books. And when they wanted to publish it, this was rather not my or out of other reasons. I mean, I talked a lot about identity theft. It is still a big issue in Austria. My identity is still I couldn't confirm my identity to this very day, and this is one of the reasons why there is still a lot of issues going on in the past as well as in the future. However, but if you come back to Screenplays, I mean, of course, what I talked about is that the Screenplays had a personal effect as well, especially the screenplay I am writing right now, Lifesaver. I mean, this was of course of personal experiences in Austria. In Austria, I was struggling to make ends meet. I mean, this was the last year. Last year I was in Austria. The entire year I lived in Austria, or since April. However, and there I was really struggling to make ends meet. So everyone who thinks that the welfare state would support you, well, I don't see that. I mean, especially in Austria, this is pretty much racist, and if you can avoid it, you avoid the welfare state, because this is hideous. I mean, this is the way how you are being treated, despite the fact that my parents worked there as if they paid taxes and so on. But the way these people treat you is just hideous, and if you can avoid it, then you don't want to have to do anything with the welfare state, as well as with Austria itself. I mean, I don't like Austria. I always said that, and if I could avoid it, I would not want to go back to Austria ever again. I don't want to live there. I don't want to be there. I don't want to be in Austria ever again. But it is all difficult. It is all easier said than done. However, and in this personal experience, I was struggling to make ends meet, and there I would some sort of sell my plasma. This is something you can do in Austria, and you get money for it. I mean, I said selling, it is called donation, and you get 25 euros for every donation. This does not sound a lot, but if you're struggling to make ends meet, then this is a lot. 25